Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to another Geometry Dash building video. Thank you so much for 50,000 subscribers. That is just unbelievable. I'll roll the clip of me hitting it. I just wanted to show my appreciation for this milestone at the start of the video. Yeah. This is it! Yo! Let's go! Let's keep pushing. It would mean the world if the 70% that aren't subscribed hopped on board. It's a good time. As a nod to the milestone, I'm going to try and use 500 layers in a single Geometry Dash part, which is just as big as it sounds. You guys really liked the 1,000 group video, so I decided to spin that and create some stuff that's probably going to be just as laggy, if not more. And we're going to be working with a lot of objects today, so prepare for some video lag. By the way, I will be using Scale Hack in this video to try and tone down the amount of objects I need. I want to use the song Hide by Laps on a 173.4 start offset. Very vibey. This is just going to be a nice ship section with a couple of mellow pulses. Nothing too crazy because there's going to be a lot of different shades of the same color on the screen. I don't want that to get clustered. Now my plan is to only use these mini type of layout blocks, like these ones. And I'm going to make the structure first. I'm not going to make the layout first. I'm just going to make one structure and that's going to be easily copy pasted around. We're going to make color channel 1 a light blue because I really like using blue for challenges for some reason. Since these squares don't have a hitbox, I need an invisible layout block above them for it to really... Okay, slide limit is going to be a problematic hack, to be honest. This is where I've got to be really smart with my layering. So the mini blocks, I want to have T2. I'm going to go all the way to 100. I don't know how necessary this is. I could probably get away with 50, but we got to use as many Z orders within each Z layer as possible. Basically, there are 200 possible Z orders, which we call different layers, inside a Z layer, which is basically a category of different layers. So T3 is the highest, then it goes T2, T1, all the way down to B4. Basically 7 different categories of 200 layers. Okay, so the plan is to make insane 3D. That's how I'm going to get most of my layering in. So for every layer back, we're going to decrease 1 from the Z order and decrease the brightness by 0.02. So eventually, when we get really far down, there's going to be some insane 3D on the blocks. I'm not going to lie, I did have to reset a couple of times. Probably because I was trying to talk and build at the same time. And when you have so many objects with such a consistent brightness pattern, it's very clear to see when something has been misplaced or the brightness hasn't been changed. Like if I give you an example, if I pick out this object and I put it on minus 0.38, you can see just from that, even though it's a tiny change, you can see it. This is exciting. We're about to finish one block, and that one block is going to be copy-pasted so much that it's actually worthwhile. There's our block. It looks jagged when we zoom in all the way. Yeah, you can't tell. It just looks so deep. I know it's quite silly to think about, but I'm just going to put a single spike on this block, to be honest, once I add the Z order, because this block is so deep that the player can't really tell what's real and what's fake, since there's only one object on this. See, the magic thing about this layering, once I just go and link this all together with the link controls, if I now make a structure out of these blocks, you see how it works? That is so satisfying to use, man. Look at it. I'm gonna try and make a few creative structures like this L shape. There's one thing I want to try, which is putting a ceiling on this passage right here and finding the back layer of this. I don't know, because the player is going underneath that. So this could be quite risky in the long term, but I'm going to move all of these objects down to B1. I don't want to just cheap out of ideas because, you know, I'm in a challenge. I want to see real quick what this would look like with a block transition. Hey, they get smaller on the sides. That's cool. I'm keeping it. My question is, how do I put spikes on the top? Like, say if I wanted to have a structure up here and a spike underneath. Is that really how I got to do it? That looks so lame. Oh, they were one layer too far down. That's why it looked stupid, because they're so far in. There we go. That's so many objects, isn't it? Yep, only 1,000. Okay, so we should have our structuring done right now. This is pretty simple, not gonna lie, but this is only like the front layer of blocks that I want to have, and it's like 6,000 objects. So far, we've used 51 different layers. We've also used a lot of different brightnesses, which isn't necessary to effectively use a lot of layers. Now, this is where the scale hack is going to come in with the default objects. I'm going to scale to a modest 5.0, color channel 1, and we shall start making a staircase of these objects. We're going to tip that on its side and use it for the background. We'll use that at the very bottom of the level with this move trigger right here, which is set to lock this to the x-axis. It's going to be B4 minus 100. Also, don't fade and don't enter. So this is at the very bottom of the level. We're going to give it a unique group 3, then copy paste, move it up by 1 step. increase the Z order by 1, give it a new group, and decrease the brightness to a constant. We're going to say minus 0.6, because I think that's pretty nicely contrasted to the blocks and the original color channel 1, which is below it. We just need to remember every single step of that, otherwise it's going to be a huge mess. For the next layer up, we're just going to delete the brightness, and we're just going to continue with this pattern. So we should get a stripy look to the bottom of these objects, which is right. I'm coming to the realization that this is going to take a very, very long time. Kind of getting speedy at the whole process right now. I'm getting the hang of it. This rotation is also something that I wanted to test really quickly. I think that's really weird. I don't know, I find it so cool how these lines are so tightly packed right there, to the point where they literally go sideways if you zoom out. You see that? That is such a weird trope. I've got a new copy pasting method right now, which is moving it 2 steps up and then increasing the Z order in the group by 2. So I don't have to change the color of it every time. I can just keep going. In that case, I can just burn through the rest of this. I don't know how I didn't think of this earlier. Dude, we're gonna hit the top of the Z order. Oh no. I'm gonna have to go into B3 for some of this, which is strange. By the way, this is using 200 layers, which is just crazy. So then I gotta go to B3 and mash the hell out of this down button, and it has to be minus 99. Bro, the last one is minus 97. That is kind of silly, not gonna lie. And it's the same pattern of the Z order being 2 more than the group, which is gonna keep me in check. Also, both of these are odd, so it's really easy to tell if I'm off. This took so long, but we've finally put this in. Holy moly. Okay, let me just move this into position, and we should be good to go. So we got lowest group number 3, highest group number 206, which is really fun because now I have to place 203 move triggers, which each move 2 blocks to the left in 2 seconds. The nice thing is I can just copy paste these over and over again. This is going to take nowhere near as long as the other process that we've just sat through. We've crossed the hundreds. I'm sitting back in my chair now. There's still so much left to do in this video, and this has taken me a couple of hours already. Okay, 207. There they are. We're going to rotate these so they happen at a different time. The next one is going to be 4 blocks to the right, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll move it 4 blocks to the left. Oh, it seems like some of the objects don't load in at the top. That's a shame. We could make that a lot more climactic, actually. We'll just double the distances that we added, and we can give it a bit of bounce easing. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Let's go. This is trippy. Our next steps are going to be covering the top and bottom of this background because it's a bit too much to have as the full screen, in my opinion. So we used 4 layers on B3, and then we've used 200 on B4. So that brings our grand total to 255 layers so far. Wow, okay, so I set up a rotation trigger with elastic in out for 1 second right next to this portal, and it makes a nice swift rotation for all of the squares whenever there's a beat in the song, and I'm going to repeat that for all of the gravity portals. We'll start a random bounce out rotation at the very end. Snap. Oh my god, dude, that's so cool. And the bounce? That's cool. Okay, nice. The next step for building up the background of this level is to make this less harsh on the eyes and also cover up the corners of the screen because there was glitches with the 5x scale objects loading on and off. And the way I want to do this is by making a vortex in the background where there is a background piece, the top moves upwards and the bottom moves downwards, and it creates an opening in the center of the screen. To do this, I'm going to start with the darkest layer, 1 Z order above the top layer of the background, which should be B3 and minus 96. We'll give that a new group 208, and we will set the brightness down to -1. The most efficient way I can do this is by making the full bottom set of this vortex and then copy pasting and build helpering up to the top. So at the moment, this is just going to be an effect on the lower half of the screen. Since we rotated group 2, our previous moving group, I've made a new one, 208. For any objects that I want to lock to the X and not have that crazy rotation in the background for. I'm also going to place my move trigger first for group 209, which is going to move it down -50. So I have these 2 things linked together. I'm then going to copy paste, build helper, increase the brightness by 0.02, and increase the Z order by 1. And just to separate the move triggers for now, I'm going to move it 1 block to the right and also increase the editor layer by 1. But hopefully when the background's all set and done, I can just move this all onto editor layer 3 and keep it nice and compact. The move triggers are currently backwards, but this should be a good enough demonstration of what's happening. Just pretend this one's higher up and this one's lower down. It's moving them layer by layer at a different rate, and you can see the brightness difference. By the way, it's probably good to mention that in processes like these, you have to include the trigger in the initial setup with the layering and the color changes and stuff. Otherwise, you're just going to get hit with the mixed that comes up in this text box, and you're not going to be able to move forward and continue the process very smoothly. You've also got to know how to be able to manage any displacements that you end up with when trying to be efficient like this, because obviously I'm gonna have to regroup the triggers afterwards and make them into a vertical line. I gotta put all of these rectangles on top of each other at the end. This is just set out in the most convenient way that I'm gonna be able to assign all of the groups and use build helper properly. So it does take quite a lot of preparation to get this right. Oh, I skipped a brightness, dude, all the way back here. Are you kidding? Okay, that should be done. I have a confession to make though. I accidentally skipped a layer somewhere. It goes from -73 to -71. Yeah. Right now, I'm just in the collection stage where I'm going through each layer and selecting them all together to bring them into one spot. Okay. Here they all are. Now, if I just select all of the move triggers as well, we can copy paste and build helper them to the top, just like that. We have all of our triggers up here. Just need to change the top set to +50 and flip them so the top layer moves first. So now there's a vortex in the middle. And it should... Oh, there's already a mistake. What's going on there? Luckily, I'll link these together so I can tell what's what. Why is there no 27 and why is there a 28? That's confusing me. There's two 235s. So I'm going to have to select one of these and build helper. That's going to work because I've linked them together. Oh! We are missing a -0.48. I gotta keep going with the brightness change. I thought I was done. I've also halved the distance that each layer has got to move. Changed the easing to ease out on 5 seconds. So now there's a very quick opening in the middle that looks like a huge gradient, and then it opens up in the middle. So every time there's a beat in the song, we can change the move time to 1 and ever so slightly change the movement of each. So it's just a tiny little sync thing, you know? Then I'm gonna have a set over here that's flipped backwards. So the back layer is moving first. That's because I want them to move the opposite way again. I think at the end, I'd rather just have an ease in out. I think it makes more sense for the level to end more smoothly. Plus, we get that really nice black line that's kind of separating this overlay from the background, which is exactly what we're trying to do. I'm happy with this overlay now, so I am going to go onto this editor layer with all of these move triggers and just set them all to editor layer 3, so I can finally use a normal number for an editor layer, because I want to add a gradient over the top of this. We make a glow staircase like this. Group 208 for the movement, 309 for the opacity, 5% maybe? That works for me, honestly. I think that's just the perfect brightness that's needed for this. And another thing I want to do before I add something else is make one pulse to black on those beats. I just want to see how that looks. Right here. Oh god, the spikes. The spikes can go as well. Oh, it's so weird with all the different brightnesses. And the background goes crazy as well. That's actually kind of sick. I think that's awesome because if you look at the 3D, you can definitely see how the pulse is working. The darker blocks are going just as fast as the other ones, and they reach black a lot faster. So half of the object goes black right there. I think that's a super cool pulse. Okay, I think I should underlay some other blocks now. The back of the top set is 50 on B1, so I gotta use 49. Just the same old process of decreasing the brightness by 0.02, decreasing the Z order. Okay, so we're approaching the end. We're on the last 3 Z orders of the positive B1, which is really strange. I might have to dip into the negatives, or I could just not, and I could just leave it at -0.96. And I think that's what I'm going to do, to be honest. We're going to have to change the color channel to a copy color of the same thing with a bit more hue or something, because I can't just straight up change the hue in the HSV, because if I change that, it changes all the values, which is something I wish RobTop would change, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, we have our block that's going to sit underneath. I don't know why I love the structuring here so much, the fact that it's just so long and extended. I love how that structure just sits on top as well. Also, I find it pretty interesting that for the majority of this video, I've just been using the default background. Like right here, I'm just editing casually with the default background up. So this is how the level is looking. I think we're 350 layers in right now. I also want to just randomly copy paste some of these structures upwards like that, because it looks cool when they overlap. We're finally getting some video lag. Oh my god. It's dropping down ever so slightly, like 130, 142. You see it there? We can place some pulsing circles, I guess, on a new color channel, which copies color channel 1 with less hue. Maybe double what the other one was. Just the same process as earlier, I guess. Increasing the brightness and the Z order little by little. That is a circle that's going to overlay some of the blocks, and I might scale it up and down at some point. I must admit, it looks a bit strange on the top, but on the bottom, I think it looks heat. There we go. That's cool on the bottom. I like it. And I'll probably just put some glow on the top or something. Like on the back layer of this 3D, which should be B1 and 1. Yep. I want to put some black glow on the floor. And then also put some blending glow on the top. Copy color channel 1. Blending. There we go. I think that's neat. We're 404 layers in, and I know just how to finish this off. I'm going to copy this circle and put it on B2. That is a free 50 layers right there, because we're using from -100 to -50 on B2. The front of this circle is -50. The back of the arrow has to be -49 on that same Z layer. And after this, I'm going to be done with the challenge. I will have used more than 500 layers, which is crazy. It's definitely the challenge I've spent the most time on. Well, we're going to break into the positive B2s now, which is strange. Just for 2 layers, though. We don't need anything more than that. Thank goodness. There's our arrow. We can scale it down. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to rotate these arrows because it's going to mess with the 3D. Wow. That was certainly a video, man. That took so long to put together. And we have 30,000 objects, almost exactly. I mean, I'll take that. All in all, that's definitely one of my favorite results that's ever come from a building challenge on the channel, with the exception of level swaps, obviously. I just like the fact that I've managed to make a pretty cool background behind another pretty cool background without too much lag, even though there's 30k objects and 500 layers. So I'm pretty stoked with it, honestly. Thank you for watching this Geometry Dash building challenge video. Check the links in the description, leave a like and subscribe for more epic building challenges. Have a good day.